Good morning, everybody. It's Jillian. So yesterday, extremely accelerated frequencies to such an extent that I felt, I was tripping over my own words yesterday because there was so much I had in my head that I wanted to get out there. And then, and then just being like, like, I would say emotional over how much of a sitting duck a lot of people are because they don't want to listen to indicators. And that's not just, climate, like in your area. Let's say my focus was on California yesterday. I'm talking about sitting ducks, just like anything. You have so much stuff stuck in your system and your body isn't releasing. And if your body is releasing, do you understand what that feels like when your body is releasing? Yeah, it's called pain. It's called inflammation. It's called rashes. It's called soreness. It's called aches and pains. That is the body releasing. But it could be releasing from one area and the body's still stuck in the system and not allowed to really leave unless it's able to capitalize on the areas that are allowed to be somewhat open. But the thing is that if your body can't release in a traditional manner, then it comes through the skin, right? And those are the eczema, the psoriasis, the muscle aches and pains, and all the things that people feel that try to then take topicals and stop the body from releasing. And so you have to understand that yesterday was a very, very aggressive environment to the point where, yes, I was speaking really fast, very rapidly, and losing train of thought because your mind is going so fast that your mouth can't even keep up with it. And of course, writing can be such a pain in the ass because your mind's going so quick and you have to figure out how to write everything in its proper way. And so yesterday I was going so quick, and then I felt the anxiety yesterday. I felt like I needed to take a nap. Hey, Pip. And so I took a nap in the afternoon because I was going to make dinner at 2 o'clock in the afternoon because I'm like, okay, I can't just sit here and watch, whatever we're watching. I couldn't sit still because I was wanting to do something with this energy, but I was feeling like just anxiety and even food because we have lobster from Butcher Box that I wanted to cook. And I already had it defrosted, so I was about to make dinner at 2 p.m. yesterday, but I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to make dinner right now. It's too freaking early. So I went upstairs and I went to bed, and I was listening to, of course, Lord of the Rings because I've watched it before. So I'm listening as I'm sleeping to Lord of the Rings and Helm's Deep and all that stuff. And you're hearing like, this is the battle, right? And so you understand that Lord of the Rings was a predictive programming for what is going on right now. All right. Because there's three parts to it. There's the beginning and then there's the middle where we're in it right now. The ending is going to be who knows how long in the future. Okay. Where there will be calm and peace and all that stuff. But right now we are in the middle of this crazy ass war. And so you have to realize what this war is about, and you have to take the time to rest and feel the aches and pains of your body releasing. And so, yeah, when you have back pain and then you have also psoriasis and eczema, also along with that, that's the body finding the way to release the demons. And no, it's not going to be comfortable. People aren't going to be miserable right now. They are. And you keep taking all the different things to stop the pain, you'll just have to deal with it later, but it'll be compounded and even more aggressive. Okay? And so in an accelerated environment, on top of that, then you have these died suddenlies, right? That rapper or music artist that died on stage, 27 years old, and now you hear about the whole 27 club, right? Whether that's a coincidence or it's intentional, it's all speculation. But when you already have compromised immune system and you are doing whatever you're doing, maybe you're on herbs and supplements and extracts or fighting a condition, and then you're also in an accelerated environment, plus then doing techno music, turning up the frequencies. How much do you think a body that's already compromised in an accelerated environment, how much do you think it can handle? That's what I'm saying. All the different alcoholics and drug addicts, they're going to have types of overdoses because not only is their body dealing with stuff, the environment's already accelerated, and you're taking on drugs on top of that. And it could be trying to slow your body down, but when the body is trying to release, that's when people turn to stronger and stronger things, and they're releasing more hormones based upon what your intention is. You can be taking drugs to release more oxytocin. You can be taking drugs to release more insulin. You could be taking drugs to speed up the body, like the methamphetamines or cocaine. of which then people get overdoses. Or you could be an alcoholic and drink more alcohol and have a lower tolerance, and then you're causing the aging process because of all that protein replication. You're developing more and more demons, and it's causing the aging process to accelerate. And so any kind of habits, bad habits, addictions right now are going to be horrible for people because they don't realize the environment, it also contributes to the accelerated replication, accelerated or lower tolerance, accelerated outcome of the feelings people want to feel when they want to escape their life. Okay? And so yesterday was an example of feeling the environment. Oh yeah, I'm fluctuating with the environment. I'm not trying to slow myself down with any drugs or alcohol or anything. I take a nap if I want to slow down the frequencies. I take a nap. And even last night, I was dreaming some weird dreams because we have what is it, daylight savings. I was up and down. I mean, I don't even really. I mean, I think this morning, I felt like the after effect of the frequencies, because even yesterday I took a major Mr. Hanky release, which should have told me that it was gonna be pretty aggressive that day. And then this morning I had a hanky release, but it wasn't that aggressive, but I slept in, and my husband got up early because he's tossing and turning. He's dealing with some shit that's coming out, but I mean, he can still walk. He's just feeling achy, and okay. But I slept in a little bit. I mean, it was 6 o'clock when he woke up, like 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. But I slept in until about 7. But yesterday's frequencies were really insane. And when you finally do get out from under the influence of all the herbs and extracts and drugs and things that you've been under for many, many years, and you essentially purify your system, you will be fluctuating with these frequencies. You will feel things. And that's why we are in this situation with people being, diagnosed and having, so much pain, is because they have stopped the pain when in a slower environment. And so they've saved up so much of those pathogenic cultures in their body. And now in climate change, when the frequencies are accelerated, when the particles accelerate, climate change, global warming, revelations, CERN, particle acceleration, like I said, that's going to cause the body to then force you to deal with whatever you've put, whatever you've hidden behind the remedies and surgeries and extracts and herbs. And so, it's going to be pretty aggressive for a lot of people out there who are resisting evolution, resisting climate change. And so you see that I have a lot more patience for those that think differently. You've seen it. You've seen two people. I'm not going to say their names. I don't want to totally call them out. But you see people's intentions and what they blame their symptoms on. One says, okay, she's off the sugar. She's lost a lot of weight. Good for her. Congratulations. She's blaming all the different diet suddenlies on the V's. I can understand that. But remember, we have so many compromised people who are not eating sugar, who are on their gluten-free diets. The reason why they weighed so much is because they don't have enough sodium chloride in their body. And so, when you don't have enough sodium in your diet and you're taking on sugar and carbs and other things that keep the weight on, okay, then you're going to think like, oh God, everyone's obese because of the food supply, when in reality, she was probably missing sodium chloride. Because people are afraid to feel stuff. Sodium chloride is ionic. It's energy. It wakes up demons that people don't want to feel. High blood pressure is the body trying to push shit throughout the system, and it's probably dehydrated. So then you have the antidiuretic hormone pushing the water throughout the system because the person is dehydrated. Okay? And so people are afraid to feel stuff. And so then they think that the V's are the issue. They think that the food supply is poison, causing them to be obese. No, you're missing vital electrolytes. But could I tell this person this? No. I just said, good for you, congratulations, hugs, good journey, whatever it is, I said. Another person's like, we're not talking about climate change and about, like Portland, Oregon, and, the different weather in California, and kind of putting the fear of God in people as far as California sinking into the ocean and the coastal cities potentially sinking into the ocean, and the sea levels rising and all that stuff. I mean, it's already been told to you that the sea levels are going to rise. Forget all the politics, what the politicians are doing, what they're buying, what they're saying over there on Fox and CNN and InfoWars. The Weather Underground people, the SDS, the Student for Democratic Society, all the underground, really left-wing people already told you what is going to happen, what's being projected. It's in NOAA. It's in, which is the climate agency, the government agency. They're telling you, yeah, by 2030, we're going to have 14 inches of the sea levels rise. And then we have floods going on in California. Okay. I mean, was it Monterey County, a levee broke, floods and earthquakes and fire. I mean, forget the politics, forget what you think. We know people believe in the Bible, which is great. Yes, it's aligned with what's going on, because you could say that it's like been prophesied by God, or you could say that somebody way back when developed the Bible, so to speak. Humans have been developing the cycle of life and death, and so it's not difficult to predict something, and then you can also help the predictions come true. I mean, we could always fight which came first, the chicken or the egg, and that goes for every single context. Did the cycle first happen, then humans figure out the cycle and help the cycle and even accelerate the cycle? What came first? You'll never freaking know. And so, yeah, you're going to have revelations in the Bible. You're going to have climate change and all the climate change scientists telling you what they're doing or what's going to happen. We have CERN, we have particle acceleration. We have a GPS or geothermal positioning systems that could potentially even change and accelerate weather in different places. And you could have a Hunger Games situation over here and what you think is natural and peaceful over here, right? When you can manipulate the weather on such an extent, make it rain, make it storm, make it do whatever, then everything's left up for debate. Then you really can't try to convert someone, because if they're comfortable in their Bible revelations, then you leave them there, because fine, say what you got to say. If they're comfortable in the CERN situation, then leave them there. Let them be comfortable in that situation. If they want to choose to believe in something else, that's fine. We have a context, we have a safety place for people to be, to try to deal with whatever's going on. So, they feel they have some kind of semblance of control, and that what they did the last 50 years or 40 or 20 years of their life is meant something to them, right? And you don't try to convert them. So you're seeing that even I'm having more of a tolerance in letting people say what they have to say, because no matter what, whether it's Revelation, CERN, climate engineering, whatever else that we have a belief in, it's still happening. How you want to characterize it doesn't even fucking matter. It's happening. You got to survive it. No matter what, no matter how it is you characterize what's going on, will you survive it? And that's really the long, the short of it, short of the long of it. That's really the crux of it, is will you survive climate change, however you want to characterize it. And so when you recognize what climate change is, it means you got to feel pain of the body releasing, and you have to replace that energy lost and retain it, and then listen for indicators, and then figure out where you live. And all these things that you hear about. That's why it's so good to have a global view on everything, so you're not so focused on the Bible and, okay, apocalypse, but then you're in a place where, yeah, the apocalypse could happen for you. You could have a huge tsunami take out one part of your coastal town, and if you're a sitting duck and you know about the apocalypse, why would you sit somewhere where something apocalyptic could happen? That's the thing where people don't realize, is that they have to look at things globally. Who cares if you really believe it or not? Put yourself in a safer situation than not. When you know that tsunamis and tidal waves, and they're telling you that climate change and the rise in the sea levels, and you're in the middle of freaking Florida, well, now is a good time to figure out how you're going to transition out of Florida, because you're right there at fucking sea level. And they're telling you, okay, climate change is going to happen, and by 2030, you're going to see the peninsula of Florida go underwater at some point. Oh, I don't believe that. That's a conspiracy. Okay, fine. But they already told you in the government documents, by 2030, 14 inches. The sea levels are going to rise 14 inches. Because you don't see it in Hawaii, just because you don't see it, because you don't see or think you see the change, doesn't mean it's not going to happen, or it's going to happen at some point. And so when they're telling you, when the government agencies are telling you 14 inches of sea level is going to rise, and you're in a coastal town and you're in Florida, maybe it might be prudent for you to start figuring some shit out if you plan to live. longer than whatever, than 2030. If you think you're going to die before 2030, hey, have fun. But just because the rich people buy up oceanfront property doesn't mean that's not going to happen. Shit, if I had $1 billion and this house is only like, $3 million and I want to have a beach home for however long until there's an earthquake or whatever, and you collect the insurance, and if your house is insurable, just because someone buys oceanfront property doesn't mean that they know better. They're not going to have some kind of coastal, devastation. I mean, don't make that assumption because they're what the rich are doing. We have just listen to what they're saying in the government as far as what they're projecting. But if you're not looking beyond, a few years, and you're just living for today, but you're not really planning really for the long term, then you'll just be like, everything's great now until it isn't. And then as you're wading in the water and treading water, doing doggy paddling in the middle of a freaking washing machine of razor blades and buildings and street signs, and you're remembering Jillian saying, well, maybe you should have moved out of Portland, maybe you should have moved out of this coastal city, maybe you should have left Florida. Fine, but it'll be too late. Okay, so I mean, when's a good time to pick up and move? I don't know. You'll have to figure it out, because things can happen tomorrow. It could happen, in a couple hours. It could happen next fucking year. And do you really want to? I mean, that's the thing. That's where people are kind of like stuck, because to change like that is hard. But when people are too afraid to change, they'll be like a deer in headlights. That's why I said people are basically a deer in headlights. They cannot move. Literally, they cannot move. And you feel bad. That's the situation they're in. And that means it could be evolutionary. They can't move the way they think. And so, I'm so used to change. I mean, I left home a long time ago. I was conditioned to change locations, to change houses, to change friends, to change whatever. It's change and evolution is no stranger to me. But when you have been protected by mommy and daddy who don't want you to know about the predators and the sharks, and it's their job to like be the one to fight your battles, yeah, you're going to be left unprepared, not conditioned to fight the battles that will inevitably be at your doorstep. And when do you actually expose how shit works in the society to your kids? Well, each parent's going to have to figure out what each kid can handle as far as their maturity level. And a lot of parents have their heads in the sand because they think protecting their kids from everything is going to help them, when in reality it's setting them up for failure. It's going to cause them to be food for the predators. That's why there's so much human trafficking. That's why you have so many girls coming up missing, because the parents never told them the ways of the world. They shielded them from all of that. Well, you see how shielding somebody from the realities is going to bite these kids in the ass, because they'll be naive adults who think everything is fucking Disneyland. But you can't say anything to the parents, because remember, that's how they raise their kids. That's fine. So anyways, so the whole J world is selling sobriety, that you have to face reality if you want to survive. You don't have to face reality, and then you can end up dealing with something at the last minute and hope you survive it. But that's very traumatizing. When you wait for something to happen before you actually do something, you may not even survive it. And so the whole thing, survival, is thinking what the worst could happen in your area, listening to all indicators, whether or not you think is going to happen to you or happen tomorrow. But we have so many people who know all this stuff. They study the Bible of Revelations and apocalyptic scenarios, and yet they're still in Florida. They're still like a sitting duck for any kind of apocalyptic situation. I mean, when it's something like an asteroid, that's something that space wars or space army can go and knock an asteroid off. I'm here in the Midwest, and I told you what the worst is: tornadoes and blizzards. Okay, I'm not too worried about a tidal wave unless a meteor comes and hits Lake Erie and causes a major tidal wave. But I'm an hour away from Cleveland. And so when when you are a super Christian, like I'll say super Christian, I don't mean that pejoratively, when you know how the Bible works, you know revelations and apocalyptic scenarios, and you've seen all the hurricanes in Florida. You've hear about the tsunamis reaching the west coast at some point. This is where people are stuck. They are a deer in headlights. They can't move. Their whole livelihood is in these apocalyptic areas. That's what I'm saying. The government knows this. The government knows this. And so if you're not getting confirmation and a warning from the government way ahead, you only get a warning maybe 5 minutes before, they can sneak in devastation whenever. But you have to be one of those kind of people that realize that, holy shit, I've seen hurricanes come through. I've seen tornadoes and water spouts and things come through a Floridian situation. And you're going to wait for an aggressive apocalyptic event to be like, well, maybe I guess it's time to pick up and move. That's the thing. That's how easy it is for the government. That's why the government plays these games. People don't get it, but you've been told this. You know in the back of your mind what, but that you know, you've been told all this stuff. It's in the freaking Bible. Excuse my language. It's in the Bible. You know the Bible is apocalyptic and you're in an apocalyptic geographical zone. Hello, wake up. But remember, people are stuck on just deer in headlights. And so, so that's why you don't ever get confirmation to help you plan. Because again, if they were to tell you like in 2 years, we're going to have a major Hurricane Andy, going to come and take out all of freaking the Florida coast, West Coast or East Coast. And then you're like, holy shit, in 5 years, let me get this prepared. And you'll see a mass migration. The government can't handle a mass migration like that. So you'll never get advanced warning for you to actually make moves to save yourself and your family. And so give people the distractions, give them bread and circus so they can be all distracted. So when shit happens, they had a good life. Thanks for your service. See you later. Bye. And that's the reality. And so those that are like a little bit more paranoid than not are the ones that kind of figure out, and they're mobile, they're healthier because they can move, they're adaptable, they're evolutionary, they're open, they want to help people, but they know they can't fucking force them and convert people. But we try to give you as many indicators without trying to force our belief systems down your throat. We give you every single opportunity. But when the shit does hit the fan, by that time it's too late for a lot of people. But when that shit hit the fan, it happens incrementally. Look what's going on over there in Monterey with the levee breaking. Okay? You think that they were prepared for that? No. How are they to determine or even predict the levee breaking over there in Monterey? That's what I'm saying. You're not going to get warning that shit's going to happen. You just got to know where you live, and if you're in a floodplain and if there's a freaking levee over there that can breach its whatever, break and all that and flood out your whole towns are underwater over there in parts of California. See, it's not gonna be like, all of a sudden America is just gonna have one big no, it's gonna happen incrementally in places. And if you're not thinking of where you live and what the indicators are, the crazy storms and the water and the snow, that right there, 15 feet of snow should be making you move just like that. And then you have the warming of the atmospheric river of rain. If I was in California and I was in those kind of areas, I'd be out of there like that. I would take my $200,000, because if you're living in California, you have some money. I'd be taking my $500,000, $600,000 savings account and get the fuck out, because better now do it before you have to then deal with FEMA and potentially not even get insured, because they already see the writing on the wall. The different insurance companies are probably not going to insure people in those kind of areas over at some point. I can only imagine what insurance agents are dealing with over there in California. That they're going to say, well, we're going to have to drop this person, this person, this person, this person, because we're seeing the writing on the wall. I'm not in California, so I don't know. But as soon as, when I'm seeing indicators here, I'm going to be like, okay. I mean, the snow is the worst of it. Maybe a whole bunch of rain. At this point, I'd rather deal with snow and rain, and I don't have an attachment to too much of my stuff. to feel like, oh God, I'm going to lose this or that. It's whatever. Everything is replaceable. Even my paperwork is replaceable. Even my computer is replaceable. Everything is replaceable, except for my husband, except for me. And so when you figure out, okay, the worst thing in your town could be a whole lot of rain and a whole lot of snow and a whole lot of heat, that's better than a bunch of earthquakes and, a levee breaching. Okay? Because where I live, there's creeks, yeah. They're not horrific. I live in a rural inner city, small little town. It has its homicides, but I don't mix in with the riffraff. And I don't invite too much energy in my world. I really don't. And nowadays, you really have to start taking inventory on what it is that you're inviting into your world and where you live and why you live there. Okay? And what you could withstand as far as a disaster that is out of your control. So anyways, yesterday was pretty aggressive. And my husband's feeling it. I felt it yesterday. I felt the surge of energy, and then I had to go take a nap to calm stuff down and eat food. And so we finally, in the evening, we had the steak and the lobster. It was good. It was good. Butcher Box, I think, is great. I mean, it's a little pricey, but it's worth it. The meat is high quality. So anyways, I just wanted to give you a Sunday live and show you the difference between what I was like yesterday and what I'm like today. And then obviously a little recap on just all the cataclysmic things that are going on that are indicators, that are predictors that people just ignore. Some will take heed and figure out. Others are like, it's not going to happen to me, or they're just too far gone. They're just going to live out their life and do whatever. And okay. But some people will have the means to move, and they will. Some people are planning for it, but remember, don't put it off too long. We're in climate change. Shit could happen tomorrow. Get your duckies in a row as soon as possible. All right, bye.